Hey guys, it's Bear.
And Blackie.
And welcome to Old Wayz number 58.
Yep.
We're stacking them on up. What have you got over here? What neat toys have you got stuck over here?
Well, one thing I want to talk about today is, we focus on the old ways on here, Bear's vision for this particular series. But at the same time, doesn't mean you got to make it the old way.
You can have a modern equivalent.
In the same thing. And so what I've been really impressed with in the last couple of years is 3D printing. I mean, it's almost like a Star Trek replicator, how for those that understand how to do it and everything, you put in a pattern and tell it to go.
Well, I mean, there's a big stink right now about making gun parts.
Yeah. I mean, making whatever. And so it will come around to the point later on. They were pushing that originally for space exploration, because when you're going to Mars and you need a new J235 valve.
You can't just pull it at the local parts house.
Right, but if you could take the old broken pieces of the J235 valve and put it in the solution, it would dissolve or turn soft, where it could be replicated into this, and you could reprint it and rehab a J238. That was the idea. But people, we're always about better mousetraps. They started finding bigger and better ways to come up with things that we can make. And now they can do it with metal, they can do it with titanium, yes. They can do it with whatever. So I was seeing a suppressor that is now coming on the market that's completely 3D printed, and it's got intricate little spiral flutes and stuff that you could never do in real life.
Yeah. One of my favorite shows on television is How It's Made. Mm-hmm. And they did a 3D printing in metal. I think it was a door handle or something that they printed, but it just amazed me.
Well, what gets me out is one of the things I've seen pop up is a guy, when this arrived to me, we'll get to this in a second, but this is a fisher, a pocket fisher. It looked kind of like that, but what it was a sword. For like kids to play with or whatever. Yeah. And you, like a lightsaber, you did like it, and it telescoped out to 4 feet. Well, the thing about it is they started with a flat deck, and they printed it from the ground up, all the parts at the same time, not individual pieces to put together. Internally, all the parts. So the guy pulls it out and he snaps it off, and he snaps 2 support things he put on here so it wouldn't fall over. And he takes it and he takes the end of it and he goes crack and goes like that. And all the stuff went flying out. Screw it down good.
I think that's everything.
Yep. Ain't no big deal drop.
Well, there's your excitement for the episode.
Yep. There it is. In fact, I think there's supposed to be an O-ring on there, and I may have took that O-ring off. But let me show you up close.
There will be videos coming up on these.
Using these.
Yeah. This
is my old hobo fisher that I made up years ago. And what it is simply a dog food can. And I took a handle of an old broom or a mop or something, cut it off, and I ran me like a 3-inch deck screw through the middle of it, right? And then you get these lids wherever you find pet food at, and it's to snap onto a pet food can that you dipped out of, so you don't use all of it at one time. You're going to put it in the fridge. I just cut a hole for this to go in there, and then inside of here is all my fishing tackle. And there's lures and all kinds of other things for this, a stringer, etc. Now put a loop so you can put it around your hand, and you want to take it and you unget it where the line's hanging out here and put your finger over it to pinch the line, and then you throw. When you did it, it'd spool off here, and this is the reel, see? I'd hold the line and I'd do like this. Well, this is the modern version of it, 3D printed as a fisher. And what he's done is he's made a clip that helps hold the line so it don't spool off of there. And then here in the middle of it is a container where you saw me throw everything a minute ago, where you'd put your hooks, your line, and etc. right there to keep it all together. Wind it back on there, kind of nice. There we go. pop it together, and then this goes click like that, and it should. This is the guy's information. I didn't want to lose it, so I give him credit whenever I do my video on my channel. But see, that's, I think you can see the serrations, like that's printed up layer by layer to make this whole thing pretty cool. I saw, well, I've got a set at the house that is the formers to make paper cartridges from a cap and box.
Right.
That's from Guns of the Old West, and I got a set from him for 36 and 44 and for Walker for dragoons. And it's 3D printed. It's got a pattern measure in the top of it, and then you got a two-piece that goes together that makes the actual forms for the cartridges and everything. So if I sat and whittled one of them, it'd take me half an afternoon of hardwood, and you got to sand it and get it right. He probably puts that on. He can probably print 10 of them in a day. So
yeah. Speaking of that, this is way off topic. Have you seen the little compressed powder cartridges?
Mm-hmm.
We'll talk about that at another time.
Well, they're becoming available again because a guy has come out with a press to do them, and they were historically available back in the day.
Right.
Where they would take them and just super compress it and make caseless ammunition is what they're making. But it's still susceptible to moisture and environment. And that's one of the reasons that Blackie doesn't use a lot of paper cartridges down here, because we're probably 90% humidity right now.
At least.
I'm sitting here with sweat just rolling down my back and my legs, and we're doing nothing but sitting. Mm-hmm. So yeah.
Welcome to summer in the South.
Yeah, I mean, paper cartridges go bad in a matter of minutes down here exposed to this air. So. But the 3D printing, being able to make small things. How about a handle for a ferro rod that's got a compartment in it for something else?
Yeah.
Or a 3D print something that I could put a Bic lighter into, or
those little orange lighter cases that we both carry. 3D print something like that.
Yeah. I mean, the sky's the limit when you sit down and think about it. I saw a guy that he keeps popping up in my feed, and he's very good at marketing. What he's made is a helix coil that goes into another component. And when you pull it out, you grab it and you unlock it, and it's your pill containers. And you put it together, and it will spiral right back together, and the magnets hold it closed. Click. So it's something you can't spill your pills or whatever. You pull it out and open up. He makes it either to be by the day, by the week, or by the month, whatever you want.
Sounds like the next Blackbird product.
Not me. I am not versed enough. I am completely ignorant in a lot of this stuff, but I'm fascinated by it.
Oh, it is. It's absolutely fascinating.
Because if you could take modern technology to apply it to things we remember, and the old ways, I mean, like parts for a well, you know, that odd plastic turn, whatever.
That they haven't made since 1962.
Oh, that's it. I mean, when you got an old truck and you need that elbow that goes through the PVC, and they ain't made one, you know, in 30 years, you know, I have had to redneck engineer I don't know how many things over the years because they don't make it no more.
Yeah.
Being able to put it into a computer and say, make this, and start with
has its advantages.
Start with a pile of goo. I mean, compass cases that would not be magnetic.
Non-ferrous compass cases, absolutely.
Completely non-ferrous, you know, compasses, and etc. All kinds of stuff. And you make them so precise, they just click together. And
can you imagine a canteen cup, or maybe even a canteen that were done that way?
Yeah.
I mean, you couldn't cook on it, okay, because the glues, the adhesives that hold all the little bits and pieces together probably are not food safe. I don't know if there's a food safe alternative.
There is a food safe alternative.
But there you go.
There is such thing. I know for a fact there is. Because I know that there is a surgical super glue.
Yes.
Well, if it's safe to leave it in the body, it's got to be safe to put on a cup or something like that.
I was watching the channel earlier this morning. Guy talking about 25 things that every prepper needs that nobody ever thinks of. Super glue was on that list.
Yeah, because there's very little in nature that'll hold that strong. And there's many things, I mean, we already know how to make pine tar glue.
Yeah.
You know, that rabbit poop or something like that, and a little bit of charcoal and a little bit of pine rosin, and heat it all up together and swirl it together and let it cool, and you got an epoxy stick, you just heat up till it liquefies and rub it. Really strong stuff.
Yeah. Or if you're a vegan, you can leave out the rabbit poop.
It's got to be something like that, because it's the fibers within the rabbit poop is what's holding it together. Because you can heat up pine sap and make a glue, but it has no shear strength.
Could you use like chopped up grass?
That's the reason you let the rabbit or something eat it.
Yeah.
Because that's all it is, a superly fine process. That's all cow poop is, a superly processed grass.
Highly processed grass.
And so you can take that and you just mix that, and that's the binder.
Yeah.
That's what binds the fibers together and keeps it from just cracking and shearing off the minute you put any side pressure on it. Because there used to be, before super glue, because we remember when super glue was invented and
Yeah,
came out,
back in the 70s.
there used to be that glue, I can see it, it had a ram head on it. And it would always show the ram's head, you know, like coming out of that thing. And they always told it that was the strongest glue, and they had developed it in World War II, and super glue outclassed it 40 to 1. I remember that stuff. And
I remember hearing stories from our friends' dads who were in Vietnam about them using super glue in field medical kits.
Yeah.
Just squeeze the two sides of the slide, the incision together, and then gluing them shut.
Yeah.
Because you couldn't always have time to suture, but
Yeah.
you could take that little, you just push those and go whoosh.
Ralph talked about him pulling an artery out and having a hemostat camping it up, fill the end of it, and squeeze it flat,
Yeah.
and they could let go and it was plugged. You know, they'll cut that end off whenever you get to the hospital.
Yeah.
But, you know, because they're going to cut the ends off, make them clean to fit back together anyway. You're trying to keep a guy from bleeding to death. He's talking about a guy that he stepped on a punji mine. It was a double booby trap. It was a punji pit, then it had a big dang mine rigged out for the whole field to go. And the guy stepped on it, it went clean through his foot, and they used to carry half of a hacksaw blade. They'd snap one in half, and then they would carry a car key ring and put a lanyard on that. So that if you stepped on one, you had something you could cut the nail with, because you can't pull it back through the foot.
Right.
But you can pull it on out, and the barb gone all the way through. But the problem is it was on top of a pressure mine, and so that's what they wanted them to do. Everybody come running to get the guy out of here, and said what? And the guy had been shot, and the medic got to him and managed to pull the artery out. You know, because he was already blowed up from everything.
Yeah.
He pulled the artery out, clamped it off, and stuck that super glue in there and squeezed it shut. Kept him bleeding to death. And then they came in, they got Charlie to leave him alone. And they came in and went to stacking stuff on top of his boot to hold the weight down, which he loved because his foot's in a spike, and they're adding weight.
Yeah. That'll make your day.
Oh yeah, and then somebody got down there and cut the dang, dug the dirt out around him, cut the dang spike off. And when they cut the spike off, and they'd already cut out the top of the dang boot, he said he took 3 guys and they all put their something, I think it was the edge there entrenching tool, on either side of his foot and bared down and put body weight, so he lifted his body weight off, and then they went to piling weight on top of it.
Yeah.
They already had something. And they did got everybody else out of there but those guys, and then once they got the guy out, 2 guys grabbed him and ran like hell. And then the guys in the hole with the weight, because EOD couldn't get to them. And the way the ground was, they were afraid if this is booby trap, it's probably booby trap to unhook it, so don't mess with it. They already had a thing before this that had blew up a bunch of people. So They got them all set up, and then whenever they had to wait, just like they wanted, all three of them ran like hell and got out of that thing. And it was, I think you said, a dozen artillery doves they picked up and rigged up. So it was, you know, so within like a 70-yard circle, there was about a dozen 155 artillery things in that big old mine. It was all rigged to go together.
Wow.
And since after they got pulled out, they had them call in artillery on that damn clearance until it blew up, you know. So it was like bam, 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 kaboom. They knew they hit it then.
Gotcha. Anyway, we digress.
Yes.
My grandkids and I were down here this morning riding around a little bit, and we found sassafras. So we may be doing an episode of the Old Ways on the uses of sassafras, well, of which there are several. We also found blackberry. It's not in season yet, but it's getting close.
It's coming close.
And we also found beautyberry. Beautyberry, if y'all will remember, a year or so ago, I made some beautyberry syrup that turned out very well, very well. And when the berries ripen, might go back out there and try it again. So that's a possibility of things coming up. And we found maypop. For those of you down in the South, it's also called passion fruit. And I've got to go get my books out and read about maypop, because there's a particular way that you've got to prepare it. It's not poisonous.
It's a little toxic.
Yeah. And there's a little bit of, you know, zigzag that you got to go through to eat it.
A cousin of mine ate a piece of one, we call them ditch pops, and he found one, and you know, those kids out there playing and doing stuff, and he was pretending it was a hand grenade like you've seen in the movies, so he bit down and tore a piece out of it and threw it, and ended up swallowing that piece. And once we figured out what he did, because we're all, you know, little kids, and I pointed it out to the mom, and I said he ate a piece of maypop. She said, "Oh, I'm sure that won't hurt him." Well, he had a bellyache in about an hour, and so about 1 o'clock that morning they took him to the hospital. He would not have died from it, but he had a bellyache.
Yeah.
The body did not like it, and so he was out of school 3 or 4 days because of that. It was all because he had a little bitty bite of a maypop. So obviously don't eat them raw.
Like I said, I don't know exactly what the process is, but I'm going to read up on that. We got one out there that's about like that, which is getting close to ripe. And there was a little one, like little cherry tomato, that's got some growing yet to do.
I drove by something the other day I hadn't seen in forever, wild plum.
Really?
Yeah, I mean those olive-shaped plums. When I was a kid, the land we were on, there was on the fence row was those plums.
Remember where you were?
I got an idea where I was, but it's on private property. It's in a ditch, but it's private property. But when I pulled up and I looked down, I said, I know what that is. What is that? And it just kept, my brain kept going until I remembered. That's wild plum. You know?
Yeah.
A lot of things we don't see anymore. Remember the old black walnuts?
Yes.
We had a black walnut tree on the land I grew up on. And
That's a lot of work for little return.
oh, no. I disagree. That is the perfect work for grandkids.
Yeah.
Because you take that and you crack them about 4 ways with a hammer and give them the giblets and give them a nail to dig the meat out and let them eat. That's like a kid the dog wanted them chew toys. That kid will be there for 3 hours trying to get all that meat out of them little bitty crannies.
For the older set, they're about the size of a, I don't know, small golf ball maybe. And when you break them open, there's just the most little bitty kernel of meat in the middle of it.
It's about half the size of the walnuts we eat.
Yeah.
But the problem with it is inside the shell, there is no way to crack it, get a whole meat out, or even half a meat.
Yeah.
Because the way that the shapes are inside,
Yes.
and so, like I said, we used to just bust them with a hammer about 3 times, and then give them that, and halfway through they'd be saying, "Can you bust this piece?" I can't. Yeah, we'll bust that one too.
Some of them, when you hold them up and look at them, have got little ridges down the sides, and there's a little stem that comes off the end. Sometimes you can hit that little stem just right, and it'll split down those fins.
Yeah, about 3 ways, and you get like a quarter meat out of it, or half meat.
Yeah.
I can remember them things being made into buttons. I can remember Aunt
shell?
that had a outdoor coat she used in the barn to go out, because they had a feed barn, and she'd go out and she'd grind feed the chickens, and she'd also grind feed the cows that we were fattening up for whatever, because they let them eat grass up till about 4 months before it was time.
Yeah.
They were going to be slaughtered, and they fed them real good, put the weight on them, a little bit of fat on them.
Yeah, you hit them with corn and sweet feed.
Yeah, and that's what they were doing. But this old, heavy canvas, I honestly believe it was a World War II deck jacket out of the Navy.
Yeah.
That old heavy one they had for up in cold country.
Yeah.
But the buttons
Was
on
she anything to Benny?
No, other side of the family.
Like I was gonna say, you know, Benny being a Marine would have
You'd have
access
thought.
to it.
But no, she was the other side of the family, she was mama's side of the family. And I remember the buttons on it. And I couldn't figure out that pattern until I got a little older, and I realized that was a cut, like somebody had cut like a 1/4 inch thick slice out of a black walnut
Yeah.
and sewed it on there and made a button out of it. So black walnut buttons.
I've heard of that. Or hickory toggles.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen hickory toggles. Just take you a little piece of hickory and you whittle it down into sort of a oblong shape, punch a couple of holes through it and run some line through that. There's your button.
How about a chestnut rat trap?
No, I can't say I've seen a chestnut rat trap.
You know, the hull on the chestnut is just spines.
Yeah,
Okay, that hull that opens up to give you the nut.
right.
Well, that they really don't want nothing to eat that. So it's like a cactus. It's just solid full of them spines. Well, as I understand it, you could take them when they just start to split, to open up, and you drop them in boiling water, and it would make it pliable.
Okay.
And they would take it and make 2 pieces, okay, lay kind of flat, that when they could then put it out on the board and glue it to the boards.
Yeah.
Okay, with all them damn spines facing like that.
I see where this is going.
Oh yeah, and they would put it where it would be sitting there sideways like that, and they'd come down, the board would come down there and have hands, so it's going to do that, right? And they would put the little bait stick in the middle to hold it open and bait the bait stick, so the rat would come in there when he did it, the 2 ends slapped together because it was like a string went around him to a weight,
Yeah.
and they go together, and it'd harpoon him from both sides of them damn things. I remember seeing one of them up on a shelf on a board, and my aunt, not an aunt, a Dutch aunt, you know, somebody in the family, demonstrated to me and said it doesn't work that well anymore, but except apparently you get 8 or 10 dead rats before it finally wore out, you know. But it'd harpoon them with all them cactus needles and kill them. And she said they did other things with them. That was a sore foot. Everybody went barefoot, and
Yeah.
so they'd put a mat out under the girl's bedroom window in the dark for them barefoot boys to step on in the middle of the night
Yep.
and holler. And my grandmother talked about how they would dig up gotcha vines, and it was long thorn brambles,
Yeah. Devil's walking stick.
devil walking sticks, all like that, and they'd plant them around the edge of the fence row up there at the house. So there was the gate going in and out, and there was like this 6 foot high, 4 foot thick wall of briars going all the way around the house.
Yeah.
And rabbits would stay in it and stuff like that. So you had a ready source of rabbits wanting to stay close to you so you could harvest. There was one, she said there was 2 ways in. There was a gate up front and there was a gate in the back. And of course there were other bushes mixed in there to hold it up. And Granny told the story when she was 8 where the guys came up there and went to banging on the door, knew that the parents were gone, they were coming up to scare them, and Granny went shooting through the door with that 1886 45-70 lever action. Blowed the door to pieces. Them boys took off running and ran into that fence row.
Ooh.
Oh boy. You know, they said that them boys looked like a bobcat had got a hold of them. I believe it, you know.
Speaking of bobcats, did you see the video from several years ago where the guy's sitting under a tree, turkey hunting, and the bobcat starts stalking him?
Yeah, because he's got he's calling and he's got a decoy out, and Bobcat thought he had him a decoy. That has got to be a nearsighted bobcat.
Yeah.
Because you never are going to catch a cat head on.
Oh.
He'll see every movement. Their brains are set to it. But yeah, I remember seeing the one down here in North Florida. The guy was in a deer stand and a bobcat come up the tree at him.
Yeah.
That's to wake you up.
Or I saw one with a black bear.
I've seen a couple with black bears.
You know, the black bear was just curious. So he came up the tree to see what this big obnoxious blob was on the side of the tree.
Well, the one that I remember the most of is he saw this black bear come through, and suddenly the black bear come running up and hit the tree and come on way. I mean, he's like this. He's, you know, this far away looking at him.
Yeah.
You know, they're nose to nose, and he's got his head camera on, and he's going, "Ooh, what are you doing?" You know, he's trying to be real calm, and that bear's looking at him. It's like a dog being right there at the face. He wasn't giving off mean intent. It was just like,
You don't belong here.
"What are you doing? You really shouldn't be up here,"
Yeah.
you know. And so finally, the bear went back down, and then the bear cut off, and as it went into the thicket, it wasn't 5 seconds. The guy was about like, oh my God. And that big bushes just exploded, and a much bigger black bear boiled out, and the little bear took off, and the bigger black bear is chasing him. That's why the bear come up here. He wasn't looking for you. You were in his favorite hide tree. So, yeah. Being 20 feet up in a tree is not a deterrent to a black bear.
Yeah. I found a new channel that's right up what we're doing. I wish I could remember what the name of it is, but this guy's out of North Florida,
Right.
Northwest Florida, and he was smoking mullet.
Yeah.
Now mullet is not my favorite fish, okay?
Yeah.
It might be if I caught it in salt water or brackish water, but once they get up past the mud line, I am not interested. I'll eat them to be nice, okay? I'll eat them to be nice, but don't ask me to eat them just because. But anyway,
Yeah, keep going. Something I want to bring up when you get done.
he used natural cordage to build a smoker frame, and then he took the fish that he had pre-prepared and put them into the smoker and put bark around the smoker and he got a bunch of punk wood and made a fire, made a real smoky fire in the bottom, and left them overnight, and the next morning they looked fantastic. And like I said, I'm not a fan of mullet, but I would have eaten those.
Well, any kind of fish, if you disguise the flavor enough.
Yeah.
And we've eaten our share because it was poor, mud cat and everything else, and channel cats. God, who was that used to have that hog operation, used to drain into Pea River?
Oh.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yes, yeah. Golly.
But don't mention no names because somebody's grandkid would get upset at us.
Yeah. They lived up just north of town on the other side of the river.
But remember, they used to hose them pins out.
Yeah, they drained straight into the river.
Straight into the river, and we used to catch cats back down this way. And suddenly, them damn cats was just horrible. And all that pig poop,
Yeah.
you know.
The city, what do you call it, sewage treatment plant here in town, after they get the water to EPA standards, it goes back into the river. You're welcome, Geneva.
Yeah,
Samson.
and God knows that the government and the EPA would not in any way. No, of course not. No. They're here to help. But back to the thing I found. Catfish are no longer game fish in Alabama.
What are they?
Free.
Really?
Yeah, no close season, no limit.
Wow.
And it's not a game fish anymore.
Well, I guess there's so many of them being commercially raised that,
I don't know, but all I know is when you go and remember I handed you the other day the game
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
And I'm looking, it's got the pictures off it, it shows non-game. What do you mean non-game? And I flipped over here where it's listing everything, it says no limit.
jeez.
So cats are now a non-game fish that you can fish anytime, any way you like.
Dynamite.
I guess.
I didn't say that officially.
Well, you won't want to accidentally hurt something else.
No.
But as far as the,
Scare the shell off of some little turtle.
but that means you could run drop lines or whatever.
Gill nets.
Gill nets. I'm not catching bass or brim, sir. I'm
No,
catching a non-game
I'm
species.
here to catch non-game catfish.
Just like robins, sparrows, mockingbirds are non-game and you can eat all you want.
Weir's.
Huh? A weir would work real good on a cat.
Now that's questionable in the state of Alabama.
No, because if I return any game species back to the river and don't take it out,
That's true. You might get away with that one.
because if it's a cat, which is a non-game, I pull it out. If there's a bass in there, I pull the gate and let them all go out.
Let the bass go out.
That's because if the season is not in to catch a kingfish, and I get a kingfish on the line, as long as I do not land it, I'm okay. I can play that thing all I want, but reach down, either take the pair of pliers and take the hook out of its mouth, or cut the line, either one. And if you're on a boat,
Sorry, y'all, I'm having to take this one.
it's okay. But at the same time, if you hold the head out of the water and take the hook out, that's legal. But if you pull the fish completely out of the water, you violated it. So, things are getting better and better for us on the survival side of it. I know how to catch cats.
Can you smoke a catfish?
Yes.
Reason I ask is, we've already talked about it. We don't have very many fatty fish like your salmon and whatever else you can find up in colder waters. Of course, I've seen mullet smoked. That guy also makes pemmican.
Yeah.
And I've got all the ingredients we need to make pemmican.
It was 1/4 teaspoon of Old Bay, 1/2 cup of bacon drippings,
For what?
juice of 1 lemon. Come on, Granny. Juice of 1 lemon. There's something else. There's something else to put in there. There's something else. But you take the catfish fillets and you put the lemon juice on them. Let it sit on them about 45 minutes. And then you took them and you had the Old Bay and the bacon drippings, and it might have been fine cornmeal. It might have been breadcrumb, but I'm leaning more toward it being cornmeal.
Or flour?
Yeah, but I remember it being a little bit special, whatever it was. It might have been hush puppy mix.
Yeah.
Okay. But you take the fish after they'd soaked in that lemon juice, and then you would bring that bacon grease up to where it was not fried but hot, okay? You would dunk the fillets in that hot grease and let them just lightly sizzle. They're really there to absorb a little bit of that fat, what they're doing. Let it go like 3 to 5 minutes, then you take them out, and then you put the cayenne peppers like a little bit over them. That would be put on aluminum foil and put into an oven. And on low, you know, or put into a smokehouse. I remember an oven grate in a smokehouse doing that. And you smoked them like that because you had to add the bacon grease, otherwise it dried out and fell apart.
Right.
But I remember doing that, and what you got when you were done was sort of a baked fish fillet that was if you went too far, it was dry. And if you didn't, it was just about perfect. It just fell apart. I mean, that's the reason it was on. You brought it to the plate on aluminum foil. Don't try to pick it up. You can't pick it up, you know. But you'd bring it in and you'd sit it down, and that I can remember that with mashed potatoes. That was so damn good.
We'll have to put it together. We'll have to do that.
Because I remember when I ran my first trot line, and I had took off on my bicycle after school, and I'd come back about 2 hours after dark. Granny wanted to know where I went, and I told her I was putting out a trot line, and she said, "Where?" I said, "If I tell you, you'll whip me." And she said, "Don't get caught." I said, "Well, if I get caught, you're gonna whip me." So I'm trying real hard not to get caught. That was when I was putting it in the creek in downtown Enterprise. And
I'm glad the statute of limitations is run.
oh, it's long run out for that, because hell, I wasn't 12 years old yet. And the next night, at about 10 o'clock at night, I took off on a bicycle, and I was gone about an hour. When I got back, I had 13 catfish.
Wow.
And I cleaned them, and my grandmother got up, because she'd gone to bed at 10. And I was in fishing, and she walked in there, and she said, "Just go ahead and put them in that glass tray, cover it with water, and put it in the refrigerator, and I'll treat them tomorrow." And she did like I just told you. That was how, so when I got home from school, that was supper that next night, was that catfish like that. Oh, she said your granddaddy loved it like this. But my granddaddy was gone by.
Yeah.
I hadn't cooked it like this. I remember that. Oh yeah, that was good. You couldn't tell it was catfish, it was just good.
Yeah.
You know, I don't like catfish, it's good. That's all, don't ask no more.
So, we've got some things coming, got some ideas in the works. I'm gonna snatch him out on a cooler day, and we're gonna go and we're gonna dig up we're gonna find some sassafras. That'll probably be our first spin-off, maybe Old Wayz 59.
Yep.
And by that time, who knows, Beautyberry may be ready.
I wish I could do it today. It's just I haven't had heat exhaustion 4 weeks, 3 weeks ago. And I'm still, even now, I just wilt when I get out in heat.
We don't bounce like we used to.
And
Excuse me.
yeah,
Guys, I've found a new way to filter your water. So that's coming.
cool. I've got the ground pounder series is taken back off because everybody's interested right now in military surplus and stuff.
Right.
And so I'm doing a series where I'm going to be outfitting you with currently available
Yes.
stuff instead of my old
Yes.
antiques. And so that's on the horizon.
I enjoyed that first episode.
Thank you. Once it cools off, I'm going to be able to go out and do some camping again. It's not that I don't want to go camp. It's simply the fact that, like right now in today's heat, I've done nothing. I'm drinking cool drinks, and I'm sitting here with sweat just dripping off my arms right now.
We both are. Right here on my faithful little device, it says it's 88 degrees, but that's 88 degrees with a 90+% humidity.
It probably feels like 101, 102 with heat index.
Well, let's just activate that and see. I have WeatherBug on my phone, and that's one of the most amazing things. 88 degrees with a, let's see, it doesn't say anything about a dew point, but the heat index is 106.
That's what it feels like
That's what
right
it
now.
feels like sitting here talking to y'all.
It's only 88, which would be comfortable.
Yeah.
But in this humidity and lack of airflow, it feels like 106 degrees, which means you're absorbing heat whether you like it or not.
Congratulations, Tag, you're it.
Yeah. It sucks getting old. We were young, we'd stay out in this heat all day and
Oh yeah.
play in it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Work cows in it, bush hog fields in it,
Yeah.
load hay. Didn't affect us.
Load 18-wheelers.
Yeah.
My daddy had dropped me off at Van Heusen in Hartford, and he would then take a separate trailer and run Van Heusen in Geneva, where I'd load the first trailer and he'd load the other trailer down there. And then he'd come back and pick me and the trailer up. And I was 10. I know today they would
Yeah, somebody would get
pitch a
offended.
fit. But in those days it wasn't. And so as long as I stayed in the trailer and stayed off the company property of the factory, it was okay. They would bring it in the back and then hand it off to me on these carts, and I'd pull it in there and stack them boxes up and then push the cart back up on the loading dock. And they'd bring me another stack of boxes, and that's how we loaded it. But it would be, I remember one August, because school was about to start, and the foreman, who was a friend of my dad's, so he's keeping an eye on me, make sure I don't wander off or whatever. And if I needed water or I needed to go to the bathroom, he'd run me in the factory to wherever it was. But I can clearly remember him taking a thermometer into that trailer and leaving it in there. And whenever we got to the point where I had to move it, and he said, "What's it say?" And I looked at it and said 128. You know, because you're in a metal box sitting in
the sunshine
on top of concrete and asphalt. You know, it's called box.
It's called an oven.
Yeah. Yeah. Those were the days. Well, anything else, brother?
I think for right now we pretty well got it handled. Guys, we appreciate you joining us. If you would, don't forget to like and leave us a comment. Hit that bell icon so you'll get all of our adventures. And with that, you got anything?
Just safe journeys, guys.
We'll see you down the road.